All right, Ms. Clement, you've received 4 votes to deny your application.
For the life of me, I try to think of something witty to open up this video, but yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. Gianni from the Plot Hole. We all know at least one person who is completely unaware of the consequences of his or her actions. This is Emily Clement, and she takes that lack of self-awareness to a whole new level. Quick context, back in 2006, Clement received a 10-year prison sentence with parole after 85% was served for attempting to hire someone to unalive her husband's patient. Looks like it's cheap novella time, so grab a beverage, perhaps some bonbons, pull up a chair, and let's dive right in.
All right, good morning. Ms. Clement, could you unmute your microphone, please?
If we're going to do the Zoom court for the older generation, can we at least have them watch a few interactive videos on how to Zoom? I'm skipping all the personal information because, well, I'm no chili.
Yes, ma'am.
And you'll be allowed to make a statement before we turn it over to your attorney for his presentation and close out for us. Okay, you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So, Emily Clement, your DOC number is 509727. You're seeking a pardon with restoration of firearms. You were sentenced September 15, 2006 in Calcasieu Parish to 10 years for the offense solicitation of murder.
Did I hear that correctly? She wants a pardon with restoration of firearms after being convicted of solicitation to commit whacking? Calm down, you. That's not the kind of whacking we're talking about.
Is that information correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Your case this morning has been assigned to Mrs. Bonnie Jackson. Would you answer her questions, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Morning, Ms. Clement.
Good morning.
What time is it where you are?
Oh, we're 3 hours behind you. So, let's see, the time here is
Behind us. Yeah.
6:05 a.m.
Okay, so 6:05. All right. Well, Ms. Clement, I've reviewed your application. I would like for you to first tell us a little bit about why you ended up in prison on a 10-year sentence. What happened in this case?
She tried to have someone bumped off. That's what happened. But I'm sure there's a perfectly good reason as to why.
I was married to a doctor, a physician, OBGYN, and I befriended a lady, Neely McDaniel, and she was one of the witnesses that went against me in the case.
What did you do, Ms. Clement, to get you in prison? What did you do?
I didn't do anything. I am totally innocent of the charges against me. It was an issue wherein I believe my late husband, who has passed now, was very, very ill. I was taking care of him, and I believe the issue was about money and wanting to acquire our estate, which they were successful in doing.
Oh, of course she didn't. Who here believes that? Let me know down in the comments.
Well, Ms. Clement, the information that I have is because of the lawsuit against your husband, it was alleged that you asked Miss Ely Kay, who might be able to kill the plaintiff in the lawsuit. You indicated that you would pay them $5,000, and you agreed to do that. At some point in time, you were found with a large sum of cash in your purse, almost $8,000. Also, 16 photographs of the intended victim and 2 sheriff's office badges. Could you explain to us the $7,772 the 16 photographs of the intended victim, and 2 sheriff's badges. Could you explain to us why you have those items in your possession?
The money in my purse I carried with me per my husband's request. He was very ill with cancer and Alzheimer's, and we were always traveling to Houston, Texas to go to the doctors, and he always believed in having cash on him.
That's
I
a lot
don't
to drive over to Houston, Ms. Clemens.
I know, but that's
I made
that's
those to MD Anderson as well, and I don't think that you actually would need almost $8,000 to make a trip to Houston. Well, tell me why you had 16 photographs of the intended victim in this case in your purse.
I mean, who doesn't carry almost $8,000 in cash with 2 sheriff's badges and 16 photos of the person who is actively suing you to the doctor's office in Houston?
I do not remember that. I'm sorry.
Well, what about the 2 sheriff's office badges?
I remember at one point I was a deputy marshal for Richard Gilry, but that was many, many, many years ago.
Wow.
And
Badges in your possession?
I don't remember that, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Well, tell us, Ms. Clement, you went to trial, is that correct?
Trial by judge, yes, ma'am.
And the judge heard the evidence and he convicted you of the offense and actually sentenced you to 10 years in prison. Is that correct?
That is correct.
One of the statements that you made in your application was that the judge profited from sending you to prison. Could you explain to me what you meant by that?
That was not my sentencing judge. I was of the opinion there was a judge, David Kent Savoy, that was over my case, or that I heard the lawsuit part of the case against my husband. And he and my husband never got along at all, even prior to this.
And
and
what way did you think the judge profited from, you said in your statement, he profited from sending you to prison? So a civil court judge couldn't have sent you to prison, it would have been the trial judge. But how did you figure any judge profited from doing anything in your case?
We're getting into the conspiracy theory levels of horse poo now.
Judge Savoy and my late husband just did not get along, and he is now a court of appeals judge, I believe, if I remember correctly. And for some reason, my husband at that point had a heart attack, and his lawyer was to appear in court for him, and that judge that was over that case for Mrs. Funk sent the sheriff's department to retrieve my husband from bed at home, and that judge put my husband in the back of the courtroom in a cell in a jail and held him there after he'd had a heart attack. But then he eventually let him go home. And I don't understand that, and I never will. He was medically ill. He had a heart attack.
Thank you. So today, why do you think you need a pardon?
I can't hear you.
Why are you asking for a pardon?
Because I would like to travel with my present husband, and for us to travel through Canada, the country of Canada, you have to have no record whatsoever, no felonies, and we would like to travel.
Are you f***ing serious? Do these people actually think about the things they're going to say before saying them?
My present husband has had four heart attacks, and he's not well at this point, but we're trying to get better and do a little bit of traveling while we have time.
There are a lot of places you can go besides Canada.
To travel down through the Alcan, I'm in Alaska. I'm above Canada. And
how did you get to Canada? You went to Canada after you were a convicted felon. So how did you get to Canada?
No, ma'am, I did not ever go to Canada.
I'm in Alaska.
I flew airplane.
And that didn't prevent your conviction, didn't prevent you from flying to Alaska, did it?
No, ma'am, because my parole officer at the time approved for me to fly. I came here, and then I went back to Louisiana as instructed.
Right, what I'm saying is, if you wanted to leave Alaska, you can leave Alaska. You might not be able to go to Canada, but you can leave Alaska. There are a lot of other places in the United States you can visit.
Certainly, but I can't travel with an RV. I can't travel through Canada. We wanted to travel.
Please pardon me so I can take a trip to Houston to see the doctor. Ahem.
Well, all right. Thank you, Miss. That's all I have.
Okay.
Yes. See no other questions. So we have your husband would like to speak on your behalf. We hear from Mr. Pollard.
Yes, ma'am. He's right here.
This is Freddie Pollard.
Yes, sir. Good morning. What would you like us to? Go ahead,
Pardon?
sir. Go ahead. Tell us what you want us to know.
Well, I was just wanting to tell you that Emily's been a perfect citizen ever since we've been married and live up here in Alaska with me, and
Maybe because she'll go to the big house if she steps out of line.
And I just wanted to say that, I'm here for her. And if I can do anything for her or for you guys, answer any questions, I'd be glad to.
All right. I don't see any questions by the board. We appreciate you getting up early to speak with us. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Ms. Clement, is there something you'd like to say to us before we turn it over to your attorney?
I'm 66 years old, and I'm had one heart attack, have stents in my heart, and I'm just so sorry all of this has ever even occurred. I don't know what to say to make anybody really believe me other than to refer anybody to the polygraph test I took, and I passed it. I would never intend to harm anybody in my life, ever. And I'm so sorry that Miss Funk has had to endure this type of situation in her life. I can't imagine what she has gone through.
That has to be one of the worst deflection statements I've heard in a long time. I mean, come on, pardon me because I passed a polygraph after the fact? Oh, this is getting just infuriating. And you should be able to imagine what you put her through.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Mr. Gilroy?
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for this opportunity to speak on behalf of Ms. Clement. Ms. Clement has always claimed her innocence. There was no jury trial in this case. People in my profession are very concerned about unanimous jury, and those verdicts that send people to prison for a long time. In this case, I'll very quickly point out that I was not the attorney representing her. This case was permitted to go to a judge alone, and no jury heard this matter. She was a zero prior offender. Never gotten into any kind of trouble, not even a traffic violation. Post offender. Since this matter has occurred, she has been an absolute trouble-free. I would point out that when I became involved in 2015, listening to her proclamations of her innocence, I contacted the Louisiana Police's polygraph expert and had her submit to a polygraph by that man. And it came back that she was totally telling the truth, that she was in fact innocent. He served almost a decade in prison. She is married, very stable existence. She's a person of means. She will not be a burden on government or on any other person should she receive this pardon. It's a difficult thing for a man to talk about a lady's age, where she is of advanced maturity and does have some significant health issues. I discussed this case with Mr. DeRosier, who was the district attorney in Calcasieu Parish. He has no opposition to this request and has indicated to me that he was making clear that we did not have any opposition. She was a model prisoner. She was a model parolee. She's a model citizen right now.
Well, model citizen if we ignore the termination for hire thing, minor offense.
In this matter, she lost her home and her vehicles while she was in prison. Mysteriously, all of those things just kind of disappeared into the legal system. They're gone. She served 10 years despite her innocence. This has been a long road to justice for me. I've been representing her since 2015. She would like to have her record clean. She would like to be able to drive in the comfort of an RV from her native home in Louisiana to her present home in Alaska. She cannot do that without a pardon. Because of the felony, she cannot travel through Canada. She really has not said it, but on her behalf, I ask for vindication. She has gone through all of this, proven her innocence to the polygraph expert, and I believe that she deserves the vindication pardon, and so that she can live the rest of her life in peace. Thank you for letting me be here with you this morning.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Mrs. Jackson. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Ms. Clement. Yeah, I've looked at this case very close. You had a judge trial because you and your attorney chose a judge trial. You had every right to have a jury trial, but for whatever strategic reasons the attorney felt and you felt that it was better for you to waive your right to a jury trial and have the judge alone try the case. Polygraphs are inadmissible, both to prove guilt or to prove innocence. A polygraph is just cool. but it is not admissible in any court of law in this state. And to be honest with you, Ms. Clement, I just think you've not been very candid with this court, with this board. You had pictures, 16 pictures of the intended victim in your purse. You had $7,772 in your possession. You had 2 sheriff's office badges in your possession. The person that you solicited to commit the crime, once that happened, went to his attorney and said, look, this lady's trying to get me to kill somebody. Now, what should I do? And law enforcement was alerted about the situation. There's also an indication that you personally showed up at the victim's house in the driveway. And so there was a lot of evidence that would indicate that despite the polygraph and despite your assertion here today, that you did do the crime that you were charged with committing. So really, because of your lack of candor, because of victim opposition, and because I don't think you've shown any compelling reason for needing a pardon, my vote today would be to deny Ms. Clemens.
Mr. Rush.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Good morning, Ms. Clemens. Ms. Clemens, my criteria for granting a pardon with the restoration of firearms or pardon without firearms is a need to make advancements in employment. You have no employment need. Some people need a pardon because of immigration needs. You have no immigration needs. Some individuals need a pardon to be licensed in a professional area. You have no licensing need. And lastly, you have no need to possess a firearm. Therefore, I'm going to deny your request.
Mr. Marabella.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Ms. Clement, I agree with Judge Jackson. I don't think you've been very candid with us today. You have an absolute right to protest your innocence and to exert your innocence, even after conviction. There's nothing wrong with that. That's, for some reason, what you need to do. But the evidence to us appears to be to the contrary. And I don't think you've been candid with us. So my vote likewise is to deny.
Mr. Friedman.
I agree. My vote is to deny.
Aw, looks like her husband and she will have to take planes to travel. Anyone else think it's a load of horse poo? I'm sure you do. Folks, if you want to travel through Canada in an RV, don't try to hire someone to off another. Simple as that. It was a bit different today, so I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more episodes. As always, I'm Johnny O, and it's time for Finger Guns, baby.